Hey guys, it's Rich from BilletSPIN. Hey, today we're going to talk about two different topics. And those two topics go hand in hand with one another. And the reason I'm doing this is because lately I've had a lot of questions in the group, people who are struggling to spin their tops, and there's been a variety of tops, but one of the main culprits of this is this particular one. This is the K2, the tungsten K2. There's all sorts of speculation flying around as to why this is, and so I'm just here to try to help you understand what you need to do in order to fix that. So what they're talking about is that they're top hulas, and what I mean by hula is when they launch the top, it goes around in a circle like this, and that right there is hula. Now eventually what happens is the hula, it gets closer, the circles get closer, it's like a big spiral, and it spirals into the middle until eventually it gets right into the middle. That means it's stabilized and it spins just like that. Now some of the people are saying, Rich, my top doesn't do that. It doesn't ever get to the middle. Why is that? And they're totally perplexed by that. And they're getting frustrated, and I don't blame them. So let's talk about the hula and why some tops don't stabilize. In order to do that, I'm going to show it with one of my favorite objects in the world, a golf ball. Now, here's what you got to realize. If I was to spin this golf ball totally vertical with the axis of the top being completely straight up and down, and drop it right into the middle of this concave lens, the ball would just sit there and spin right in the middle, right? Why wouldn't it? But here's what happens. When people launch a top, when they drop it, it's crooked. It's crooked. What that does is it tips the axis. The golf ball is representing this ball right here, just a great big version of that ball. And when they drop the top, it's crooked, but it's still spinning like this. So you can see what happens. It's gonna bring this around. Now gravity, because this is a concave lens, gravity is gonna take effect, and this thing is gonna just go around in a circle like this, okay? Now let's see if I can demonstrate. Okay, so you can see how it's spinning. You can see the hula. That baby, just the ball caught, and it's just shooting the golf ball around in a circle there. Okay? Hopefully that's a good visual to understand. So the more crooked you launch it, the more it rides up the side, and the more force it shoots it forward to propel it around. Okay? So the key is to launch this top. A perfect launch would be this top launched straight up and down right in the middle of the lens. Now you got to remember, the lens is concave. So even if you launch it straight up and down, but it's over here, you're hitting on the side of the ball, and now it's going to shoot it forward and have it start to hula, okay? So you want to get it in the middle of the lens, straight up and down. That'll give you a perfect launch. I'll just give you an example here, okay? So that wasn't a horrible launch, but if you look at how it's tipped, you can understand why the top is moving in that way, because it's not hitting on the very tip of the ball. It's hitting around on the side, and that propels it around in a circle. Try to get a real bad one here for you, okay? So all sorts of movement, because when I launched that top, it wasn't close to vertical. Now, I'll try to do a better one for you here, okay? So that top, that's a much better launch. The top, you can see, is not nearly as tipped, much more vertical. And in about a minute, minute and a half, that top will end up right in the middle of the lens like it was in the very beginning of this video. Now, some people are saying, well, mine never does that. Mine never gets to the middle. Why is that? Here's why. When you spin a top, RPM of the top creates a gyroscopic effect. The gyroscopic effect wants the top to be straight up and down. The faster the RPM is, the more it wants to pull it straight up and down. Now, because if you have a top that doesn't stabilize, it's because you launched it with a low RPM and you launched it crooked. And the gyroscopic effect isn't great enough to stabilize your top. That means you have to work on spinning it harder, spinning it more straight up and down, and spinning it in the middle. Okay? So, horrible spin, Try to get a good one. Okay. It was okay. Again, that one will stabilize pretty quickly. Now, there is a little cheat that you can use. Well, there's a couple cheats, but we're just going to talk about one main one here. And you want to do this whether you're struggling with hula stabilization or not, okay? And that is, what I want you to do when you spin any top on any lens, I want you to wipe it down with your hand. I want you to get your hand oil. You can use your nose, your forehead, whatever. Wherever you got oily skin, rub that on there. Now, what does that do? I want you to picture that I know some of you are blessed to be down south and you might have never seen snow in your life, but when you're in a car and you're in snow and you hit the gas pedal, your tires spin. And when you're on dry pavement, they don't. Well, when this lens is perfectly clean, it's like dry pavement. When you put oil on there, it's like snow. So when you launch this crooked, and this thing is spinning on the side of the ball, and it wants to shoot it forward, it's just like in snow where your tires just spin, and it doesn't have the force propelling it forward, and therefore the hula is not going to be as exaggerated. Okay, so it's going to reduce your stabilization time. So for those of you that are struggling with their tops not stabilizing, your hula will be cut down even at a lower RPM, and just wiping hand oil on there might be enough to get your tops to stabilize even though you're not launching them really, really fast with a high RPM. The other thing it's going to do is it's going to lubricate the surface, and it's going to make your ball, the ceramic ball or carbide ball or whatever your top has, it's going to make that last longer. It's not going to develop as much of a flat spot. Here's the deal. Tops are, a consumable item because there's friction between the ball and whatever you're spinning it on. And even if whatever you're spinning it on is soft, it's still going to wear the ball eventually. I mean, it might last you 100 years. It might last you, a year. It might last you 6 months. It depends on how much you spin it. Depends on the lens. Depends on the lubrication. Depends on how abrasive it is. I mean, there's just a lot of factors there. But I can tell you that most people are spinning on glass lenses or mirrors, cosmetic mirrors. Wipe your hand oil on there. It's going to make your top spin longer. It's going to make them stabilize faster, less hula, and it's going to make them last longer. So you want to do that. Now, I have tried multiple, I don't know, probably 25 different oils here lately. And we have one other oil that works really, really well, but it's crazy, crazy expensive. It's actually used in the Pinewood Derby circles. And so yeah, it does really, really well. We'll be doing another video on that later on, but hand oil is almost as good. So I encourage you to start doing that. Wiping your hand on there. I know people thought I was joking about that at first. No, it actually adds quite a bit of spin time on there. So now, as far as the tungsten, people are saying, well, why does my tungsten, why do I don't have this problem with other tops? Why is that? Well, the tungsten is heavier. It's harder for you to get RPM on it because it's heavier, okay? And so it just takes more. You have to spin it harder in order to get this top to spin as fast as, one of the normal variations. So that would be your biggest reason. Now, some people say, well, if your top is, got a wobble or it's bent or whatever, it'll never stabilize. That's absolutely not true. That's absolutely not true, and I will even offer you this challenge. If you think you have a top that won't stabilize, I'll pay to have you ship it to me, and I'll do a public video. We can just show that you can get any top to stabilize if you spin it fast enough and have a good enough launch. The top might have a wobble where the stem is wobbling because the top's off center or out of balance, but you can get it to stabilize. It might not sit dead. It might have a tiny bit of movement, but it will stabilize if you can spin it fast enough. And as it slows, the wobble will, you'll be able to see the top wobble. But that's not hula. That's not hula. So yeah, it's possible. You just have to spin it faster, more vertical, more in the middle, and hand oil. That's the secret to it. And so I hope this video helps. I'm no teacher, and I'm horrible at communication, but I hope that made sense to you, and I hope it'll help you enjoy these tops even more. If you got any questions, let me know. Love you guys. We'll see ya.